So in 2006 I thought that we have to introduce this as a subject. We titled this as Indian Economic and Business Models. So we got the university permission also for doing this. It was introduced in our institute as a subject. So we began to teach this, but unfortunately when we were teaching, we came to understand that there was no book available for this purpose, because we were collecting details based on our studies and then macro details from Reserve Bank of India, other sources, and then teaching. So that is how I thought then we should write a book, and then I started writing this Indian models of economy, business and management. So when I gave the book for publishing, in fact our publisher Prentice Hall of India, now PHI Learning Limited, they took several months to approve. Then when I asked them, one of them said, how can there be Indian models? You are saying this, you are going to discuss about Indian models. Where is the Indian models? I told them, based on our studies of more than 10-15 years, we have come to understand that there are Indian models functioning, whether it is economic model, business models, management models. It is based on our own experience and field studies based on hard data. So if you accept, I will publish, otherwise I will take it and then go to some other person. So this is how they started publishing this, and even when they published, I understand that they were not very hopeful at all, so they printed only less number of copies. But in the first month itself, sales touched 800 or so. Then they made the second print, and within a month when the book was sent to Professor Vaidyanathan of Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, he called me and said, I am going to introduce this in IIM Bangalore to my students. So first offer came to me. So I learned that for the first time, a very big institute, nationally reputed institute, IIM Bangalore, is going to have a subject based on this book. So it was a huge success for people like us, encouragement for people like us, and then it started moving to other places. Since 2008-9, Shri Gurumurthy, he is teaching this same course based on this book in IIT Mumbai, and this is a very successful course for him. He is running in spite of his busy schedule for the 7th year in a row. So this is how now this course is accepted. Now many people would like to learn this, because it gives them an orientation to the functioning realities. In fact, I remember when we started this exercise some 10-12 years back, many of my own professors who were very affectionate to me, they used to tell me, you have studied PhD in stock markets, very promising area. Now you are going to small business centers and studying about how these businesses function, how society influences it. It will not have any future. Why are you wasting your time? So that is how they used to advise me, but in good faith, in the interest of me. But now they now they tell me that you have selected a very good area which is going to be very useful to the society. So that is how in the last 10-15 years things have changed. Even in the mainstream academic system, now there is an interest to study this Indian functioning models. But not many academic administrators, universities have understood this, because they don't have any experience, they don't lack this. Because whenever they introduce a subject, they always see the syllabus, they make changes here and there and try to prescribe some foreign books or Indian authors. These Indian authors also, whenever they write about economics or management or business, they will follow the foreign theories and try to interpret it. That is how it is going on. But India is a totally different society. The Indian economy is completely different to a large extent from the Western systems. So whatever you see here, it is not explained in textbooks. For example, whether it is saving habits or whether it is family influence or whether it is community orientation, none of it is explained in our present textbooks. So this has to be understood first. So only when we go there, when we study there at the field level, whether it may be Tamil Nadu or Gujarat or it may be any part of the country, once you go there, you will study this, you will understand this, then you get convinced. In fact, this can be incorporated only after you go and study one or two places, at least one or two places, then you will get convinced. So this kind of studies you have to make. So Indian models is a different kind of model. Indian model is based on our culture, based on our tradition. It is rooted to the soil of this great land. So unless you understand this, you cannot understand economics books. All the Western economic books, Western theories based on their own experiences, in fact limited experiences, I would even say narrow experiences, but because if you study the Western economic history of the last 400-500 years, starting from feudalism to the latest pro-market capitalism, you will understand that none of their theories have stood the test of the time. No theory have survived for more than 100-150 years, because beginning from feudalism, all the Western economic ideologies have their own fault lines. They were not rooted in their fundamentals. So as a result, they are continuously failing, whether it is communism or capitalism or their earlier versions like feudalism, mercantilism. They all failed because they are all based on exploitation, getting benefits out of the blood of somebody, some groups, etc. But in India it is not like this. Indian systems always based on their experiences. India always believed in live and let live. That is how in economic theories also you will come to understand. So as a result, if we want to study Indian economy, we have to go to the field, we have to study it, then only we can understand Indian economy. So Indian economic model is a functioning reality. In fact, I would say India as a country does not have only one model. There are different models. There are as many models as possible. Even in Tamil Nadu, for example, we have seen many models. It depends on the behavior of the people, the way they approach their lives, etc. So that is why in each of the states or in different parts of India, there would be several models. We have seen many different saving models, different entrepreneurial models. They are all different based on the experiences of the people living there. So when we say Indian model, we say we take the common characteristics of all these models and say these are the common models, because all these models have common feature. The Indian culture, the large Indian culture gives a broad orientation to the model. Otherwise there are as number of models in several places. So this can be explained based on studies. I have explained it in different places. So when we say Indian model, it is a broad Indian model. So this model is working and has been working continuously. If we see the Indian history, economic history, I would go to the extent of saying that India has the most sustainable economic model in the whole world, because this model has some common features. So whatever that existed 200, 2000, 3000 years ago, whatever that exists today, you can see a relationship between this. People were saving money earlier also, now also saving. If you take entrepreneurship, the kind of initiatives that people take, this is there throughout our history. We all believed in karma, all believe in karma theory. So as a result, we try to do something. In fact, in Vidura Nidhi, sage Vidura said, self-employment is the best status in life. So even today, if we take the data and then analyze, we come to know even today, around 50% of Indians depend on self-employment for their life. It is perhaps the highest rate in the whole world among the major countries. If you take the Western countries, rich countries like America, only 7 to 8% of the people depend on self-employment. About 3/4 of them, they depend on salaries, wages, etc. from others. But here it is not like this. There are many communities in India which do not prefer to go for employment. No, they don't prefer, even today. So that is how self-employment concept is ingrained in our minds. Because all this is because, India for thousands of years believed that one should do work based on one's own experience, their experience of the previous generations. So that is how India has been surviving. So that is the reason why even after disturbance by several centuries by the outsiders, and even after confusions by the locals for more than 6 decades, we are able to maintain our economic position. In fact, we are able to survive all the onslaughts and then emerge as a prosperous economic country because of our strong fundamentals. So there is, as an Indian economic model, functioning model. This functioning model is the main reason for us to remain as a potentially powerful economy today, and it is this model that helped us to emerge to function as the most prosperous country for several centuries before the advent of Europeans here. It is the same model which helps us to emerge as a very important country even after disturbances, distractions by the Britishers and confusions in independent India.